Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and the de facto ruler of Saudi, claimed he is willing to risk assassination to sign a normalization deal with Israel. Can you imagine that? He's willing to face a possible attempt on his life in order to normalize relations with the Zionists. According to a bombshell report, Politico has revealed details of a conversation between Saudi Arabia's de facto ruler, Mohammed bin Salman, and US Congress officials. The Saudi ruler has mentioned to members of Congress that he's, quote, putting his life in danger by pursuing a grand bargain with the US and the Zionists that includes normalization between Saudi and the Zionist entity. According to the report, on at least one occasion he mentioned the example of Anwar Sadat, the Egyptian leader that was killed after striking a peace deal with the Zionists, asking what the US did to protect Sadat. He also discussed the threats he faces and explained that any such deal must include a credible path to a Palestinian state, especially now that the genocide of Gaza has heightened Arab fury towards the Zionists. So what is normalization really about? For Saudi Arabia, this has nothing to do with Palestinians, nor protecting them from genocide or ethnic cleansing. This is about Saudi self-interest and enacting the liberalization vision of Mohammed bin Salman, coded for de-Islamization. The deal includes number 1, US security commitment to Saudi Arabia and to his rule. Number 2, US aid and support in building a civilian nuclear power station. And number 3, US economic investment to help Saudi diversify their economy away from being reliant on oil exports. These are Saudi demands, and in exchange for this, they will limit their dealings with China, and secondly, establish diplomatic and other ties with the Zionist entity known as Israel. However, they want some guarantee, some concessions that US will pressure Israel to reopen a pathway to a Palestinian state, a two-state solution. Please note, they aren't saying that we will normalize our ties with Israel if they establish a Palestinian state. No, they're simply saying that they'll normalize their ties if there's some sort of pathway to a two-state solution. This is the same solution that's been talked about for the last 30 odd years. And as we know, whenever people talk about a two-state solution, it's just simply kicking the can down the road. It's a way to distract the population by claiming that there's some sort of end in sight, but in reality doing absolutely nothing about achieving this. Even leaving aside the ruling in Islam about giving up part of Muslim land by recognizing a Zionist entity and ignoring the original injustice of al-Nakba in establishing Israel in the first place, the fact is a call for a two-state solution is a call for a no-state solution for the Palestinians. It's simply not a solution. It never was and never will be a solution, and it's simply something the Zionists will never allow. They will never allow a true independent Palestinian state.
בעתיד הנראה לעין, עם הסדר, בלי הסדר, מדינת ישראל חייבת לשלוט ביטחונית על כל השטח מערבית לירדן.
And I have a video discussing this in detail, but the point is that for MBS, this isn't about Palestine. He wants a symbolic gesture from the Zionists and from the US for the Palestinian issue to subdue the outcry from the Muslim world and even internally in Saudi when Saudi normalizes their agreement with Israel. Look, we only did this to help the Palestinians realize their state is going to be the claim by pro-Saudi shills. Yet in reality, this isn't about Palestine. Saudi bans any symbols that are perceived as pro-Palestinian, restricts comments made by scholars on this issue, and censors what's being shown on Saudi media. According to reports, Saudi helped inform the US of the timing of Iran's theatrical response against Israel and have allowed their land to be used as an economic corridor for Israeli goods to enter after the blockade caused by the Houthis. So beyond the words of wanting to see some credible pathway for a Palestinian state, and remember, it's just a pathway they want to see, a symbolic act, but beyond these words we can see Saudi's actions, and these actions are not pro-Palestine. Now some may say, but how can we trust comments made by US officials in Western media about Saudi's desire to normalize with Israel? Well, we have the very words of Mohammed bin Salman himself. This is what he said less than a month before October 7th.
The Palestinian issue is very important. We need to solve that part, and we have a good negotiations continue till now.
If those negotiations are successful, Saudi Arabia will become the largest Arab economy to end its boycott of Israel over the treatment of Palestinians.
Israel and the US wants to solidify the artificial Zionist entity in the Muslim world by celebrating that Saudi, which houses the two sacred sanctuaries of Mecca and Medina, has now recognized Israel's right to permanent existence over Muslim lands, over Palestine. Therefore, the Zionists would see this as a huge victory. In reality, I don't think any Muslim really takes Saudi actions seriously, even if they were to normalize their relations with Israel. And again, this isn't some sort of conspiracy theory, nor are Saudi playing some 4D chess which is trying to usurp Zionism from the region by normalizing. With all their concerts, boxing shows, bikini beaches, the majority of Muslims have woken up to the agenda of MBS and his vision to de-Islamize Saudi. He would be willing to settle out the Palestinians if it means his 2030 economic liberal vision is realized. As Muslims, we really need to think long and hard about how the current genocide that we have witnessed and we are witnessing, how it has really exposed the complicity of the current rulers in the Arab and Muslim lands. Is this the future we want? Is this the type of states we want? Those that put selfish national interests ahead of human and Muslim lives. A leadership that betrays the Ummah by siding with the Zionist colonizers. The very least we can do is continue to raise our voices and hold those in authority to account and call for an Islamic solution, a solution that best serves all the peoples of the region, whether Muslim, Jew or Christian, one that will deliver true peace and justice to the Palestinians, a system based on Islam, a leadership that emulates the great Khulafa, the Khulafa Rashideen like Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman and Ali. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with them.